Hi, Rodney.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hey, Rodney. Matthew here.
Hi, Mr. Ng.
Oh, no,
How,
call me Matthew. Matthew is fine.
hi, Matthew. How are you?
Okay, thanks. Are we waiting for
Uh, and
Andy?
Andy he couldn't make it tonight, so it's just the three of us.
Okay, no worries. Okay, just want to make sure
Yeah.
everyone is that has to be here, be here, we'll be here. Okay. Great to meet you. Nice to see you. Do you want to start something with Josh? Do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rodney's here tonight because we had a few interviews with Rodney, and we felt it was obviously very important for him to meet you and present himself to you and give some background. Rodney, if you don't mind giving Matthew some background on uh, your career, specifically for more importantly, your Mitchell-Lama, experience, your past Mitchell-Lama experience, and some, your other career endeavors that you're currently involved with, if you don't mind.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity to consider me for the position, for the property manager position. I'm a property management executive, and I've had deep experience operating in a highly regulated housing environment, including HPD supervised Mitchell-Lama developments housing companies, one of which involved the 1,250 unit Dayton Beach Park development that is supervised by HPD. And as mentioned, I certainly have HUD, LIHTC, and other municipally supervised programs that align directly with the governance structure and compliance expectations of Mitchell-Lama co-ops. I think I bring a unique perspective, having been the chairman of the board of Rochdale Village, an HCR supervised Mitchell-Lama, which has 5,860 units of cooperative of apartments. I've managed large-scale residential communities, co-ops, and condos across New York City. And as I mentioned, it included that 1,250 unit development. I've overseen budgets, capital projects, compliance audits, and day-to-day operations um, at all of these developments. What I bring to Mitchell-Lama board is ability to ensure that the development remains financially sound, fully compliant with HCR and/or HPD requirements, and operationally stable without placing additional burdens on board members. Because I understand, um, first and foremost, and I think I mentioned it to both Andy and Josh, that no one comes to living cooperative developments with the intent of governing a corporation, a housing corporation. And I think it's important that your managing agent meet the lay board members where they are and provide as much education and insight as possible in their day-to-day decisions around policy and moving forward as a housing company. I'm very familiar with the unique responsibilities of Mitchell-Lama governance, income verification, succession rights, waiting list management, annual filings, regulatory inspections, and the strict financial controls required under the Private Housing Finance Law, Article 2. My approach is to run operations in a way that eliminates surprises for the board. That means proactive compliance tracking, transparent financial reporting, and early identification of risks before they escalate into violations and budget impacts. I have actually done affordable housing portfolios and actually started in that particular genre before going into the private housing or what I like to call fair market co-ops and condo genre. Um, and in that growth, I've always utilized the strict guidelines associated with REAC inspections and HUD inspections and those levels in each of those genres with the expectations for compliance and meeting the regulatory needs of each of the housing developments, particularly in New York City, and the governing local laws associated with housing and Mitchell-Lama. I have a master's degree in public administration and a certificate in city management, which I think gives me a strong foundation in municipal processes, public policy, and regulatory navigation, which is essential in the Michelama environment where oversight agencies, affordability mandates, and long-term capital planning intersect. And to that end, my current employment is as the district director with a council member in the New York City Council. And my primary responsibility is meeting the housing needs from a tenant perspective and a landlord perspective, based on legislative and internal and external relations with developers and municipal agencies, so to
So,
speak.
okay. Oh, great. Sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
go
I
ahead,
just want,
Josh. Go ahead.
yeah, no, um, can you, Rodney, give us some examples of, some challenges that you faced, when managing any of your prior properties?
Well, to be honest, I did experience an 8-month strike with
Oh,
my Mitchell Obama development at Dayton Beach Park, which took a great deal of creativity. While most housing companies simply go with the Realty Advisory Board decision to absorb the increases associated with their employees,
Right,
the board didn't want to at this
right,
particular housing company, which meant that I had to navigate getting the day-to-day operations of cleanliness, safety, and the needs of the residents placed as a priority. I did that through actually contracting out the services. It was rather unconventional, and I don't know if I mentioned that to you, Josh. Kyle Bragg
no,
was Kyle Bragg was the president of 32BJ, and he was rather upset when I was able to get his members from where I live at Rochdale to come work at night over at Dayton Beach Park. So they effectively were uh, crossing their own picket line. But we got the job done. Cal was a little upset, but he got over it. And we effectively, through attrition, was able to come back to the bargaining table and develop some attrition models in order to meet the budget goals of the housing company. And that was
great,
one of the particular challenges.
excellent. One of the big challenges that we face, that the board faces and management faces, is just ensuring that the apartments are turned over in an efficient and fast manner. And I think that's the one of the most important things from the board's perspective is that these apartments get filled as efficiently as possible. We are very close to opening up a new waiting list, so that should help as far as getting the shareholders, prospective shareholders that are as qualified as they can be for this property. So if you could speak to, what you could do to, on your end within the confines of, the city requirements to ensure that these apartments are, turned over as quickly as possible. Because from my standpoint, you know, uh, vacancy losses, that's money, and for the board, it's got to be up there. The most important thing that we're going to be dealing with here from a business perspective.
I think it's important to take a proactive approach of making sure that vacancies are one adhered to pursuant to HPD guidelines, and that waiting list is utilized effectively in that regard. The establishment of the waiting list is very important, and I believe that there is that period of restoration that can be very strategically utilized to deal with the vacancy issue and vetting potential shareholders. Um, more proactive would be that if in fact, and I'm not sure as it relates, there is a requirement that shareholders provide some notice of their intent. Um, and I'm not sure of the occupancy agreement with the housing company. But in two of the housing companies I experienced, there was a 30 or 60-day requirement that required the shareholder to give notice of their
Yep.
intent.
And
And
then when that happens,
that triggers, that triggers the vetting, that triggers and then that 30-day period for restoration, that's effectively a 2 to 3 month period of time that you can make sure that you've utilized that waiting list and vetted and have a potential shareholder in place for a vacancy. It should happen within that 2 to 3 month period, and continuing with that proactive strategy, um, vetting 5 to 10 people at a time. Because if there's a level of ineligibility for one, you want to be able to kick right into the next one and be proactive with the consent of HPD. And I say that because they have oftentimes been the stagnation of occupancy with their approvals,
yeah,
with the
yeah,
requirement of their approvals. But I think I meet that need having very strong relationships through my current position as a council, as you know, as the district director, and relationships I have with persons in HBD, deputy
right.
commissioners, and the like.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Matthew, do you have any follow-ups on that?
that is music to my ears. I mean, in our situation, I mean, I think what happens, obviously, if someone passes away, we don't have that notice. But there are many apartments that we evict, and nowadays the courts are so crazy that we sometimes have to give 3 months notice for them to leave. So we know that 3 months, this is the date that they need to be out of the building. So, like you said, all right, we know this is the date. Start putting out the letters, get the people interested, whether they are or not interested. I mean, the part of the problem that we've been having is that our list was so old that just ended, that people were on that list for 12, 15 years. I mean, some of them don't even remember they were on the list. You know what I mean? And in some of the two bedrooms, they at that time had families and the kids are now away to college. They don't need the two-bedroom anymore, or they moved out of the state or what. But the 2 weeks is sending the letter and waiting the 2 weeks, and then then we don't hear from them, and we give them another 2 weeks, and by the time we send out a second letter, third letter, the 3 months is over. I mean, that we can't be doing that. My feeling and the board's feeling is that, so we have 3 people. We you, like you said, 5 people. You email 5 people. Okay, you're number 3 on the list. One apartment's coming up. We don't know if the other 2 are going to be taking the apartment. So, but are you still interested? Are you still there? And get the preliminary paperwork done, so that if the other 2 reject it, you're ready to go with the third person. I mean, some of our vacancies have lasted over a year.
Yeah,
Now we're a beautiful building at Lincoln Center.
yeah.
Currently, the large one-bedroom maintenance is $570 a month. Tell me you can't get people that want to move in these apartments. Why we have to wait a whole year to get somebody to move into these apartments?
Well, that clearly sounds as if there's some oversight issue with HPD.
No, no. I
Can't
mean,
be a
no.
year.
It's not HPD.
Yeah,
It's the people doing the work. The lack of efficiency has been a real problem. And the thought process that you explained is exactly my explanation. You don't wait for one person for 3 months. I mean, you get these letters out. If people say, okay, fine, one apartment's opened up, I'm third on the list. Okay, that adds excitement to the thing. They may be the person to get the apartment. But if other apartments are going to open up, they know that they're that close. So I mean, it's and we've already done the initial vetting, so that we're already a step ahead. You know, I
No, I
mean,
agree, Matthew. I think, and what it sounds like is um, having that external relationship with HPD to say we're moving on from this person.
yes,
Yeah.
And just saying we're moving on, we're going to the next one, and you have
Yeah.
to provide justification for going to the next person to HPD. And when you establish that rationale and you talk about the financial burden being carried, and I think this current administration is certainly amenable to that argument. Um, they say, okay, go to the next person.
yeah, no,
Mhm.
and I mean, you know, I've developed relationships with HBD as well, and I've never had trouble on that end of things. The
No.
trouble I have on the other end is like evicting somebody. For I mean, we've had people that have been trouble for 20 years. I mean,
How's it?
every which way up and down and Sunday. Oh, put them on a stipulation. If they do it again, what do you mean do it again? It's been 20 years of hell. I mean, and they don't pay this. I mean, like for instance, there's one guy who's been trouble literally for 20 years. He owes us more money than the equity in his apartment. I mean, it's like,
Wow.
and I said to my contact at HPD, are you trying to put us out of business? You want us to stay in the Mitchell Elmer program, but you're putting us out of business. I mean, it's like, give us a break here. I mean, well, you know, the hearing officer and this, and I mean, like we had currently, there's there was a lady who passed away. Her daughter who moved in a couple of months before she passed away. Now, she applied for succession. Well, she doesn't fit any of the rules. You know, I mean, our lawyer did a very detailed thing that why she doesn't fit this rule, sent it to HBD. She wanted, you know, she of course, you know, sent in a letter. Well, I want to, I don't agree with this. Okay, fine. All right, but the rules are the rules. I mean, it's like it's not even close. There's no gray area at all. It's now she submitted her review last August. And I've called and I called again, and I called last week and I talked to my person who then talked to the hearing officer who was pissed that we called. And I
Just
said,
saying the hearing officer
well,
associated with her
whoever
appeal
is
of
reviewing the thing, right?
the
Whoever
secession
reviews the
application.
succession, right? And my contact, who is, you know, a senior person there, I mean, called him and said, "What's the story here?" I mean, it's now been since August. I mean, and the rejection of the succession, which was very detailed and very and written by a great lawyer. She's a great lawyer. I mean, it's like, what's the question? And why is it taken 8, 9 months to say no? Meanwhile, she's not been paying anything, and you know, and
Did she file an Article 78? I'm not sure. I don't understand that
well,
whole.
this is my problem, and this is the problem we've been having. Now, that coupled with, unfortunately, the people that we've been having in this position, the lack of efficiency. I mean, now, I mean, just to go back a little, I know you were at a company that then turned into First Service.
From Wentworth to Cooper Square to First Service
Right.
Residential.
Well, we were in Tudor. Well, we were sold to First Service before, and
So no, Jeffrey Goldstein. I've had a conversation with him.
uh-huh.
And he explained the situation relative to managing that property. First Service is not the most ideal managing agent company. However,
That was very nice of you to say that. Those aren't the my conversations with Christine or Christina,
oh,
whatever her name is.
Christine, I remember Christine.
I've never had most disgusting conversations with a senior executive at any corporation in my entire life. And I mean, the woman
Were you
was
there when Denise was Denise Clark there? Or was this
no
after
Christine
was
Forbes.
the
Oh,
director of property management?
yeah, I directly contacted her because, well, we technically what we were told is that Tudor sold all of their properties
Portfolios, yeah.
to First, yeah, their portfolio to First Service, but they did it in like May or June. We didn't know till December. So there was no way we had any time to even look at the situation and say, well, this is right for us and not right for us. And First Service had, their PR is really good, doesn't really match their service and any maybe 5% of what they do. So, well, clearly problems crept up right away. And I said, this was the conversation I had with her. I called her and I said, listen, the board president lived in Amsterdam, and I understand this was like, a deal that you guys made, and I understand you've got a corporate level and whatever position you decided to take over the portfolio, but understand that we didn't vet you. I think what would be very good for our relationship is we do our Zoom, our board meetings by Zoom, is to just dial up for 5 minutes, say hello to the 9 board members, welcome us to the company to start the relationship. Her response was, I don't have time to talk to everybody. That was her response. Well, you can say, I
I
don't.
know you're paraphrasing, I hope.
No, oh no. That was exactly what she said. I don't have time to talk to everybody. And well, I had to hold my tongue because I would have really said something that would have really been, Josh knows me, I say what's on my mind. What you see is what you get. And I just said, okay, this conversation needs to end. And we had problem after problem after problem. And then switching over to, because we were going to switch, like, we needed to digest, find out what was going on. And they we were having a lot of problems with them. We were trying to rectify these things to keep the building running. And then as we slowly started to look for a new company, we interviewed companies. We're going slowly. We were really thorough interviewing, and Maxwell Cates. And at that time, it was the other president, was the president before Angela. And we met, and they came, and we just had a wonderful meeting, and unanimous, the board chose Maxwell Cates. But the transition from First Service to Maxwell Cates, the transition was not easy because First Service just couldn't give a damn, and we still don't have information from them that we should have had. We're still fixing some of the financials and some of the things just because they just couldn't bother. They just couldn't bother. So we were starting behind the 8 ball, and my thing is efficiency. Mm-hmm. You have more experience. I hope a job doesn't confine you too much, because by the way, we have an excellent superintendent. He mm-hmm. is forward thinking. He's thorough. He is the best superintendent we've had. I've been in the building for almost 50 years now, and he is the best superintendent we've ever had. And he knows what he's doing. He knows how to talk. He's always had, for people who are responsible and work well in the property management position, he's always had good relationships with them. And he's, as long as you don't screw him, he's fine. You know what I mean? He will work with you. He'll do that stuff. But what we need to do, there's so many things we need to get up and running. Our files are a mess. We started digitizing them. For instance, okay, here's a situation. I went downstairs, to the file room, which is in the building, and noticed a lot of files were missing, like apartment files were completely missing. Why? I don't know. Because I don't know where they went to. So, what my suggestion was to contact the shareholders whose files are missing and ask them, tell them that there are some files missing. We want to complete our files so that we can service you properly. Bring in your papers that you had, basically your application, your occupancy agreement, and those things for us to photocopy and create a file.
I'm sorry, Matthew. So and I refer back to HPD because they're the oversight agency and they're charged with the responsibility of conducting the necessary audit as it relates to the compliance to file keeping and that 3-year window that your files need to be dealing with. So one, it sounds like there's going to have to be a very strong audit of the filing. And it shouldn't be that difficult for 180 plus units.
Yeah.
Um,
And I mean, we're only talking maybe about, I
Yeah.
mean, I would say maybe 10 apartments.
but they
Yeah.
all have to be succinct. They should all uniformly be set up.
Well,
I do my filing
that's
and
music to
like,
my ears. That's
yeah,
music to my ears. And that's why when we started, when I saw that we were missing so many files, I said we need to rectify this. What happened was a letter went out to these people saying we're missing files. Please bring them in. Of course, nobody responded to the letter, and nothing else was done. I said, that's
No
not,
follow-up.
yeah, you got to call. You got to, you see them in the building. Can you come in and bring your documents? I mean, it's like, now I don't know how much of those documents HPD holds. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
they don't necessarily hold them, but they are responsible for the audit. At some period of time, they should have reviewed those files
I've never
consistent
known
with,
them to do that. In the 50 years I've been here, I've never
really.
known them to come and do that.
Well, that's because there's an expectation that the managing agent not is operating above the board.
Well, the
It's more
managing
than
agent, the company is, it's,
Yeah.
but because of our transitions from company to company,
company that lost. I got you.
well, we don't know where the files got lost. We don't know how the files got lost because some of them are new people. I mean, like people moved in a little over a year ago. Where the hell did those files go?
Oh, that's discouraging.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, that's a
So
problem.
just
We
yeah.
that
So
that that Go ahead.
follow-ups, just ensuring that we close out particular matters and not letting it linger. That's going to be really, really important. Just putting a pin in and just resolving matters and uh, issues that have been open and just not letting it. Again, I'm repeating myself, but linger for an extended period of time. We want to avoid that because it's
Yeah, what
no good.
happens is when things linger, as you know, I mean, obviously you seem to be very efficient. When things linger, all of a sudden you have one thing on your desk, all of a sudden you have two things on your desk, you have three things on your desk, and which one? I mean, you become overwhelmed and nothing gets done. And that's what I mean, we need to fix that problem because we've had that for several, not only Max Locates, we've had that. I mean, when uh First Service was our management, I mean, the other thing is part of the situation, which I'm not really sure, and there's been a little bit of confusion even with Maxwell Cates, the adjustments, the evolution, let me say that, of management companies in our business. At first, it was all back office and you had somebody doing just superficial stuff at the building, like taking care of, like people come in and complain and pick up checks or do things. Now it seems to be a lot of the management goes on the resident manager and the property manager. I mean, all this, a lot of the stuff is done here at the building, and with the back office doing like the major accounting and the payroll and the stuff like that. But in with the people that we have been having, starting with First Service, it's never been a comfortable fit that there's a simpatico between the back office and what who's doing what and what who's responsible for what, and many things would fall in the cracks. Like somebody said, "Oh, I thought he was doing it. Oh, I thought you were doing it." And that, I mean, and I've talked to Angela about this, and I've talked to Josh and Andy about this. It's like, and I mean, it's not a blame game. It's about, okay, fine. This is a sort of like a transition of the what I want to say, of the industry. And
Yeah.
so we need to be careful. Doing a transition is fine. And the more the property manager in the office does this stuff, let's define what that person has to do, and let's define what the back office does. So number one, we're not duplicating efforts. And number two, we know who, okay, the property manager needs this, the back office has been doing it, get it done. Why don't I have it? You know what I mean?
Oh, Matthew, if you don't mind, I
No.
really
Oh, good.
think that the property manager, the buck stops with him as it relates to articulating each of the divisional, because it's a decentralized model where you have the financials being dealt with by the chief financial officer of the managing agent. And then you have senior management that are assuring that the representative on the face of the building, which is the property manager, has a full understanding of those particulars associated with the back office,
I'm
the rent rolls.
That's exactly what
And
I'm saying.
if that person can't articulate any discrepancies within that, then that's a property manager issue.
I agree. I agree, but I've been, I don't want to say generous, but I've been sort of soft to the point of saying, okay, fine, this management company is going through the transition of who is responsible for what, and they're adding people to their employers. And I said, okay, fine. I mean, everything is imperfect. I mean, we can't say, okay, the A, B, C, D, and A, B, C, and D, this is what's going to happen. But the goals have to be there, and we
Yeah.
have to know that we're going to that's where we're going for.
Yes.
Whether it happens automatically, okay, fine. If a problem comes up, we then fix it. But the point is, the goals have not been very clear on who responds to what. And sometimes, though, in my personal opinion, Maxwell Cates, the back office would say, okay, fine, this is property manager's things. But if they weren't done, we were out of business. We were out. I mean, that just didn't get done. And some of what is, how much does, I mean, I'm not an umbrella guy. I'm not going to come down to the office every 5 minutes and say, do this, do that, do this, that. I mean, I want to stay away as much as possible. I have my own business I need to run, which I've not been doing as much lately because this has been taking so much of my headspace and my time. Um, I want to be available to you anytime you have a question, because you have to learn how the building operates and what our rules are, and things like
Culture,
that. And
absolutely.
I'm 100% available. I work out of my apartment, so I'm here for you. But I'm not going to come down and what's this, this paper clip and that pen, and I don't want to be involved. You know what I
In the
mean?
micromanagement, and that's
Right. I'm just
understandable.
not that way. You know what I mean?
And
But
and
there were
and
things like for instance, we have a board meeting tonight, and I asked for a vacancy report. Now, I've been asking for the vacancy report for a long time for certain elements in the vacancy report. And as Josh said, some apartments have been open a long time. I had asked for the date the apartment was surrendered, so
Yep.
that we can, so that a board member can glance at this report and say, oh my God, this has been open for 9 months. So we don't have to look at okay, a vacancy amount, a vacancy loss is this amount of money. I mean, not all the board members know numbers. So I mean, but they can see 9 months, that's too long. The other thing is, I want to know what you're selling the apartment for. I want a dollar amount, because in many cases, a lot in first service, when we were at first service, apartments were not sold at the proper amount.
Yeah.
And we were losing money. And I want to see that amount there, and I want to see this. And I created a spreadsheet so that simple. You plug in the numbers, and with the amortization table. I mean, it's like boom, 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 just so I can look at it and say, okay, fine. There's a second person, a third person looking at this form. Okay, these are the right calculations. Boom, this is the right number. Zippo. We don't have to worry about it. I have to worry about it.
From my standpoint as the supervisor, I don't want to put words into your mouth, Matthew, but we don't want to be broken records. We just, we don't want to annoy you or feel like I have to micromanage or stay on top. And if I for 1 second don't see that you did something that I asked and it just doesn't get done, I just want to have that trust and that confidence that what Matthew and the board and what we want we're aligned in that, and that what we ask is done, and done efficiently. I think if that happens, then we're gonna be good.
I'll say hello in the hallway. It's like again, I don't want to do your job, and I've been doing the job, and always doing it behind the eight ball because it only comes to my desk when it's not been done for 4 months.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I'm panicking and rushing and pulling every string and having to stop my company, my work, and it's cost me a lot of money because I just we're running out of time a little here, but I just want to get to a couple of points.
Yeah.
We have messy board just like everybody else. We have people that think it's their private fiefdom that they show up once a month and give all their opinions, and then we have people that are just so fixated on certain one thing that you've shown a little more grace and and Josh will tell you, I just don't have patience for this. I mean, for when I have a board member who doesn't read the stuff and shows up and start talking about stuff, that information I've already given them, it pisses me off. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because all of a sudden we have a 3.5 hour board meeting, which is stupid. It should be, I mean, ridiculous. So, we're not extraordinary, but we have a very, very good building. We're waiting for approval to increase the maintenance because, as you know, our maintenance is very, very low. I mean, even with the increase, I think one bedroom goes to 620 or 630, something like that. Yeah, we're in Lincoln Center, right in Lincoln Center. Yeah, no, and it's a beautiful building. We've had a lot of renovation done, and we have a beautiful plaza in the back with plants and everything. Uh, okay. Um,
Just know, Matthew, that I take ownership in the work that I do in representing and my intent to represent Maxwell Cates because I bought into their model as it relates to compliance, efficacy, and efficiency. But I take ownership in that, and I document a lot. So
okay,
what you will
excellent.
have is written chronological reports around the priorities before the decision has to be made for you to digest and or ask for revisions and additional information, because I do believe that a board meeting should be meticulous, shouldn't be longer than an hour
Oh,
with a solid agenda. And that's the goal of really taking ownership and then following up with efficient written responses, because I don't believe in the he said, she
if
said. I'm
right, if
data based.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm just trying to hurry up because we have our shareholder meeting in a couple of minutes. Um, when we talk about like some things to do with the attorney with regards to evictions and successions and stuff like that, all I ask for is to be CC'd.
Absolutely.
If there's anything I have to say, I'll tell you. But Zippo, I mean, as long as I know it's happening, I'm fine. That's all I
Yeah.
need.
Matthew's very fair as far as just he's going to tell you what he wants, and he's
And if you
very
don't
direct.
agree, I'm a listening. I'm ready to listen. You can say, "Oh no, I think this is a better way. We get this more efficient." I'm open. I'm open to that because I don't want to do your job. I want you to do your job. And as long as
Mm,
we get to the result that we need, boom, I'm golden.
absolutely.
Okay.
No,
I'm
Absolutely.
I need to cut you off because
yeah.
the shareholders are going to start signing in now. Um, think about it. If you have any questions, we can do another quick meeting. If there's some questions, all of a sudden, oh, you got off and I want to ask this. Um, I, I, I'm open.
Matthew, I'm hoping that if I'm chosen, I will have that opportunity to pick your brain around the culture of the building, around the priorities of the board, and as a team, meeting with that superintendent because he has a wealth of experience around the infrastructure and the mechanicals, and becoming a solid team to meet the needs of the
Thank you.
board
Yeah, we're
and
not
its
going to just throw
residents.
you in the office and say go to work. I
Sure
mean,
you are.
yeah.
Sure you are. Sure you are. And you're supposed to.
I mean, obviously there are going to be a lot of questions and things of what's
Absolutely.
this or what's that, and I mean, I expect that, and I want to give you as much as you need to know and as much as you want to know. Boom, then you're ready to go.
Thank you for that. Have a
Okay.
Thank you,
successful board
Rodney.
meeting tonight.
Thank you. I'm
Yep.
just going to try.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
night.
Josh. Okay.
Matthew, real quick before
Yes. Go
Do you want
ahead.
me to let go,
Rodney,
Josh?
I'll touch base with you, okay?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
have a
yeah.
blessed night.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll see you in a few minutes, Josh, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Matthew, I have to step off tonight at 7:45.
No,
I have
you do what you need to
personal
do.
thing.
Okay, fine. No worries. No worries.
Just wanted to let
We
you
we
know.
now have the video, so
Yeah.
I'm golden with that.
But you're
Okay.
good. You're happy with him.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Okay.
He offered information that I was going to ask for, like give him a scenario that he would then, but the fact that the way he talked about doing vacancies, boom, that's what I've been asking for since day one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't even have to ask.
The ultimately it'll be the proof is in the pudding. So he's
Yeah,
got to
but
do it.
we're going in the right direction. This is the
Yes.
right. All of a sudden, we're in the ballpark here, and he may strike
Yeah.
out. He may strike out. He may hit a home run.
I'll be
I
happy
think
with a triple or a double.
I'm happy. I'm happy with a single at this point. Hit the ball. Hit the ball. Oh, okay. So I gotta go.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'll be on in a minute.
Okay. I'm just gonna close this so the videos are separate. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.